Hey guys, hope you're well. Wanted to give you a key update on the latest hearing with Zero Dark Tony. Probably saw a lot of Aaron Smith's Levin streams already, but I'll get into more of the granular details, and at least with you, I'm able to analyze what can we look forward to looking in the future, what happened today that might bolster his chances of succeeding, what happened today that might seriously hinder his criminal case. So I will start off by saying good and bad news if you're a fan of ZDT, or if you're not a fan of his. Obviously I'm not, but good and bad news in that regard. There was some initial hope that the reduction of bail would be denied and that wouldn't be legitimate. Unfortunately, it looks like after some back and forth that the bail, the lowered bail to $50,000, remains the same. It essentially remains the same bail. So that was an interesting part of it. Another aspect is it's clear to see that the prosecutors, the people in this regard, take this case very seriously. This is not some minor misdemeanor violation. 9 times out of 10 in a misdemeanor violation like this, the prosecutors will kind of work with you, even suggest a lower charge should you plea, and kind of treat it as not as a big deal. That did not happen. It is very clear to see that the prosecutor mentioned that, particularly because this was in violation with a minor, that this person, she used the words, this person is very dangerous. So the prosecutor was really pushing hard, and the prosecutor actually wanted the bail increase to even more than $150,000, which was rejected. Although, and there was some hope that ZDT would be remanded right then and there in that very moment. Unsurprisingly, he was not remanded, and that did not happen. But one of the conditions is he has to show up on March 4th, and he's not allowed to mention Solomon or his mother on any type of social media or out loud in any type of recording. So, what some people were hoping that there'd be near total or near or complete social media ban. ZDT did not get that social media ban, but the judge says while it's not on the table now, it may very well be on the table in the near future. So the judge is not ruling out the social media aspect, but for this initial hearing, which you wouldn't expect for a lot of that to be added, the judge did not make that. The judge did not make that argument. There was an argument that on the people's side and the prosecutor's side that the bail was improperly reduced. So again, there was a conversation back and forth between that. And ZDT appears to have an attorney. His last name is Spindle, still trying to get the information. My guess is he's a public defender, but I'm not necessarily positive about that. ZDT showed up with his mom, and then you saw all the craziness with Aaron Smith Levin. So that's essentially the crux of what we're looking at. Another thing is ZDT doesn't show up, his award for arrest would be $500,000. So usually there isn't even an arrest award. It's not considered priority on a misdemeanor. So this is particularly unusual. I'd say this happens maybe 5% of the time with my experience sitting in on misdemeanor court, on criminal court as well, on both. 5% of the time is there even an arrest reward for violating a restraining order or for any type of misdemeanor crime. So the fact is that the prosecutors see this as high priority, and the judge said that there would be a $500,000 reward should ZDT not show up. There would be a warrant for his arrest, and there'd be a $500,000 reward for his warrant, which means that the judge is also taking this very seriously, and it shows that this could go beyond misdemeanors. So the next hearing is March 4th. My guess is there'll be an attempt for a lot of discovery positions, but while ZDT was successful in some ways today in not getting a complete social media ban and not getting arrested, he was not successful in portraying that this case means nothing and that it's minor and it's the same thing as maybe you're in Georgia like I had for smoking a joint in Georgia, or for slapping your friends on the face. So those would be the usual misdemeanor stuff, or a misdemeanor battery, for trespassing, whatever it might be. This is completely unusual in the confines of the judge's setting shows that this is high priority and that she does view him as dangerous, even though, of course, he wasn't remanded or anything, is remarkable. As in terms of me getting an interview, ZDT said he'd get an interview, changed his mind. The lawyer told him not to say anything, but his one message, on the record message to me, as we spoke briefly, was see you in court. See you at the next hearing. So he's feeling confident. I don't think he should. The judge is not suffering him gladly at all. So let me read a little bit of the script, and again, it'll be choppy, but not terribly choppy because there's not a lot to read from. So the judge says, this is a very serious case. One of the victims is a minor. This makes things much more consequential. Spindle, the attorney for Zero Dark Tony, says, the court has not authorized to change bail. So they're discussing bail for the restraining order. We need to review that first. A warrant was signed on December 19th. My client was picked up by surprise when he showed up to court. My understanding is that they're never met. I need to litigate the validity of the RO. So you're going to see the approach that the attorney is going to take. The attorney is going to say, and another argument that I forgot to mention is that the argument the attorney is going to use is these guys never met each other, therefore there should be no RO. And the judge quickly retorted, well, the RO should be pretty reasonable and very easy to follow if they've never met each other. So the judge kind of threw that back at him. But that's the argument. You could already get a preview of the argument that is going to be enlisted on terms of ZDT's attorney's part. This is a case, continues the attorney, Mr. Spindle for ZDT, this is a case of YouTubers having an argument, having a First Amendment dialogue, says Mr. Spindle, the attorney. Now, the prosecutor says, bare minimum, I want him to be remanded if he doesn't show up. I want him to be remanded. So the prosecutor was trying to get him to be remanded then and there, which speaks volumes. But if they haven't, and the judge remarks, you can discuss the validity later of the RO. If these people haven't met, there should be no problem staying away. Even after civil restraining order, a minor's life was made a living hell. Sorry for my, the last sentence, the prosecutor interjected. The prosecutor said, the judge said there should be no problem staying away. The prosecutor interjected, saying even after a civil restraining order, a minor's life was made a living hell by Mr. D'Amato. So that was a prosecutor saying that after the judge was saying should be no big deal for you to be able to follow this restraining order. Ms. Spindle, the attorney for ZDT, responds, we need the proper venue to address bail is in appellate court. The bail has been set. The underlying restraining order is that civil court authorized service via Twitter. He wasn't even served that. It's not valid service. That's the other argument that the attorney for ZDT is going to make. It all goes back to Twitter, that for some reason Twitter is an invalid form of service. And we go back to how are things properly served, and to call ZDT and say 1999 called and they want their method of service back, because before he used to have to put a public notice in a print newspaper. But as people have computing machines, that's not relevant anymore. So there's not a lot of legs to stand on. You can already see the arguments that the attorney is trying to give. He's trying to say these guys never met each other, so the RO is therefore invalid, and ZDT was never served, and therefore he was never served, and this is all illegitimate. This is going to be a tough fight, guys. This is going to be a very tough fight. Mr. Spindle continues, the attorney for ZDT continues, based on this, I need to come back and review 500 pages. I need to come back for bail review. And the prosecutor says, we'd like the next day or two. This is serious. So they scheduled something for March 4th. The prosecutor looked at the urgency of this so significantly that they wanted things to come back. They wanted to come back a day later or 2 days later, not next week. Of course, I'll be there next week. The judge, request to raise bail is denied, so the prosecutor tried. If he violates the restraining order, he'll be remanded. And if he doesn't show, the award for arrest will be $50,000. Bond stands at $500,000. Bond stands at $50,000. You are to have no contact with Solomon or his mother, no personal electronic or social media contact. Spindle interjects, well, the parties don't even know each other. Judge says, I'm not looking at First Amendment arguments for this case. He needs to stay off social media. And now on March 4th, we have yet another hearing. My guess is there'll be a lot of discovery, a lot of attempts to get continuances. If ZDT, what I think is, prosecution's going to try to go for jail time, guys. That's my assumption. The weird urgency, again, I've seen it in 5% of cases when you're looking at misdemeanors. And of course, this is now converted into an RO to a criminal protective order, by the way. Now that's the language they're using because ZDT ratcheted up the RO to now a criminal protective order. But you can see that the prosecutor is doing their best probably to try to get jail time. This is high priority. So prosecutor is gunning for this guy. This ain't just an average case. This is serious. And if you want to donate, please do. That I have my PayPal and Venmo and everything else. So that would be very generous. And yeah, hope you guys have a good one. And I will see you on the 4th. Bye-bye.